Hi, we're recording right now, and these are the students who will be analyzing these two paintings by Pablo Picasso. They're both on the theme of motherhood. They were from his different periods. So the one on the right, his Rose period. The one on the left, his Rose period. The one on the right, from his Blue period. Somewhat similar compositions, but presumably very different relationships and effects on the audience. And so we're going to have these students talk about what's their observations and their analysis of the painting.
I'll start with just an observation, which is that the painting on our left, there's a greater distance between the child's head and the mother's head than in the painting on the right. They're closer together on the right and they're farther apart on the left. On the other hand, they seem to be more alert and interacting in some way on the left, whereas their eyes are closed. They could almost be asleep on the right.
Can I just ask, is that a female on the left? I look at it and I think it's a man.
Yeah, much more masculine.
The baby or the mom?
The mom.
The mom.
I don't.
Mom.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a mom.
It's from my. It's interesting.
But I can see, but it's the
It
clothing.
looks much more masculine.
That's interesting because my observation kind of, I guess, probably has to do with that. But like on the left, the woman is very sort of the straight, strong. She's holding, and then because of that, the baby gets to be sort of loose and like whatever, and the baby's sort of really dependent on the mother's strength. I mean, that's a position that's like physically hurts to hold for a long time. You know, with the back straight up like that. Whereas in the other one, the mother is sort of the baby's sort of straight up, and obviously the mother's holding the baby, but the mom is sort of like cocooned around the baby and almost like looks like the mother's maybe sad or emotional or sort of like really connected and feeling the closeness of this connection, whereas the baby's sort of almost like holding her up or defining her in that role. So it's interesting that you say it's more kind of masculine because it's this outwardly like I'm here so that you can discover yourself, whereas the other one is, to me, reads more like I get to feel myself as a mother because I'm holding you.
How much has to do with the color difference? Because the blue is very subdued color. I think of it as bedtime almost, and dark and warm and cuddly, like the baby.
But also, but it's a strange color in that I think the mother, especially if you look at her cheek there, the mother looks very gaunt, and the white and the baby. I can't quite see them where I'm sitting. I can't quite see the baby as well, but the whole thing, the colors seem less natural, and so there's an element to me of almost the pallor. There's the white. It's almost like illness or death or something in that color palette versus the color palette on the other one, which seems more lifelike to me, and therefore that's where the strength comes into it.
And I think if you look at the baby in both, they're really showing something very different about their relationship. Maybe this goes back to what Claire was saying about the strength versus kind of the more, what I see is more like a nurturing but a coddling figure. But the baby in each is really, you have this kind of playful, like kind of playing on its own, versus the other baby's very like just tightly wound and kind of controlled. And two very different perspectives on mothering.
Yeah.
The freedom that you alluded to, the freedom of movement, and yet the mother is still there to protect in the left one. And on the right, it's very much kind of coddled, nurtured, like you're not gonna, there's no room to move or freedom here, and I'm gonna hold you and watch you. When my first initial gut reaction looking at these was, oh, well that mom has a more close bond because she's cuddled closer to the baby and she's making more physical contact. But after what Claire said, I feel like actually the one on the left is more confident and more, because the baby has more freedom. Is kind of observing. So
the one on the right reminds me of something my mom told me when I you start to die. And it was like, what? That's crazy. That's weird. What are you talking about? But in the sense that like because you give life, you know, it's the sort of natural aging process that you start to pour your love and your life into taking care of this other person, and as a result, you sort of slowly start to age and you know and kind of prioritize this other life. And it makes sense to me now that I have a 10-year-old and I see that process working. She grows stronger, and I start to you know age in more obvious ways. Whereas the one on the left is more the opposite of that. Like I am stronger and powerful and all of these things because I have given life into the world, and look at me. And there's also that side of parenting, which is look what I can, especially with the mother with the body. Look what I can do with my body, and the body is more exposed in that when you have her arms, you have her neck, you have these strong like hands and arms. You know, whereas the other one is just cloaked in this dark fabric. It's just like makes her look so vulnerable and weak. And just
I almost see it as like